I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, time for my quarterly market update, this one for late spring 2018. I do these 4 times a year. Normally I would have done this blog about a month ago. I usually do it more at the beginning of our busy spring selling season. This year I decided to wait until late into the spring season so that I could give you guys a little better bead from the front lines on what's happening in the market now. And you know, I think most people that watch my blog, the reason you watch it and why I call it the Inside Edge video blog is because I do have an inside track and a much better bead than most people on where this market's heading, because I'm a working realtor. I'm a listing specialist. I'm privy to the number of offers I'm receiving on properties, whether it's detached or townhouse or condos. So I'd like to think I've got an inside edge and an inside track on where this market is going a lot more than most people do. So this spring has been the busiest on record for me. Now, I know you're going to laugh. Overall, the market, the listings, number of listings and volume has actually been down this year. This is one of the slowest springs we've had in 6 or 7 years. For me, though, it's been busy. I've had a lot of listings this spring. Everything from detached homes, townhomes, condos, 2-bedroom condos, 1-bedroom condos. So I've been selling everything. So I'm going to give you from the front lines here what I'm seeing in the market. And after all, I've been talking about it for a while. Eventually this market is going to cool. I think we're eventually going to get into a transitional period here where the market goes from a red hot seller's market to maybe more balanced in some areas, depending on the product, which I'm going to get into here. So let's break it down here. Most of what I'm going to talk about here is Vancouver. That's my main market, as people know. So let's break it down by product. Start with detached. The luxury or higher end detached market, especially on Vancouver West Side or in Richmond, which I'm going to talk about, is definitely a buyer's market now. The higher you go up the price, the more a buyer's market it is. About 6 months ago, I told you guys that detached homes were on sale, and especially in Vancouver East Side. I would say that's still the case for single family bungalows, so they don't generally have much in the way of rental suites. So they're going to be East Side bungalows sitting on decent lots. Those are off probably $200,000 to $250,000. I'm seeing these older homes selling for $1,350,000, $1,400,000, $1,450,000 that would have sold for $200,000 or $250,000 more a couple of years ago. Those are single, older 50, 60-year-old bungalows. Some of them might have a rental suite down. Most of them are set up as single family homes. Here's an interesting thing. As far as in homes that have income suites, so Vancouver specials, let's say, that have a one bedroom and maybe a 2-bedroom down, and then you could rent the upstairs. Those homes priced under $1.6 million, $1,650,000, the market is strong. As a matter of fact, it still favors the seller. I've seen a surge the last couple of months because I've had a couple of homes that I've listed, and I've also been working with some buyers that are in that price range that are looking for a Vancouver special. Very little inventory. The market is pretty solid in there. Better than it was 3 or 4 months ago. We've seen a little bit of an uptake there. But as you go up the scale here, once you cross 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 into a nicer, newer home with still might have a rental suite, that market then starts to soften. You don't have nearly the competition. You're not getting multiple offers, which you are with some of the lower priced Vancouver specials. You can write an offer, negotiate the price, and a lot of these homes now, when the final price lands, they're selling at, or in most cases, below assessed value. And that's been happening now for a while, especially on the single family bungalows that I was talking about 6 months ago. Pretty much all of those are selling below assessed value. And we haven't seen that in a long time. As people know, most homes are selling have always sold way $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 above assessed value. And I think these assessed values coming out for later this summer will be marked down for sure, again, based on the current sales. Let's move into condos though. 2-bedroom condos priced under $1 million, sales are still strong, favoring the seller for sure. Again, there's not a lot of inventory. Have a look on the MLS, plug in 2-bedroom condos, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, downtown Vancouver under $1 million. You're not going to find much. And what you do find is not going to be all that great. Same thing with the 1-bedroom condo market in downtown Vancouver. Strong seller's market. What I will tell you is this though, based on my listings, and I've had a bunch of 1-bedrooms I've been selling downtown, Canby area, Fairview. The one-bedroom market, it's still strong, but I am seeing a little bit fewer offers than what I was getting 4, 5, 6 months ago. So on a good one-bedroom priced under $650, instead of getting 7 or 8 offers, maybe now I'm only getting 3, 4. So the number of offers is starting to come down. Maybe some buyer fatigue, interest rate hikes, getting tougher to get a mortgage. There's a variety of reasons there. So early signs, you know, that the number of offers are getting fewer. However, prices are still up and you're still getting multiple offers on these one-bedroom units. Now, as you go up the scale for condos, once you break that $1.2 million, $1.3 million barrier for a 2-bedroom, less competition. When you get up to 1.5, 1.6, I would say the market for condos in that area is more balanced. But again, the story here is there is not a lot of inventory. Do the searches for yourself if you don't believe me. There is not a lot out there. Everything in the one-bedroom market is doing holdbacks unless it has issues with the strata. So I'm listing it on a Monday, showing it all week, taking offers the following Tuesday. And that's the way most of these units are selling in Vancouver now, under $1 million. So we'll see what the future brings. For right now, it's still pretty strong. Sales volume is down, but I've talked about this so many times. The important stat you want to look at is sales, active sales to listings ratio. That tells you the true story. Sales are down, but the reason sales are down is because there's not a whole lot to sell. And this is something I've talked about many times here over the last couple of years. People are holding tight to their units, especially one-bedroom units or one-in-dens. You know, there is just not a lot of inventory. And when something hits, they're doing holdbacks and you've got 5, 6 people going for it. Now, eventually it'll change. If we can get some inventory built up, I've blogged about it many times, and you start getting some buildup in inventory, that's the first sign of prices maybe starting to come down. Interest rate hikes will also put a cold bucket of water on it. But man, I tell you, with the one-bedroom market, I'm beginning to think that that one-bedroom market, sure, when we finally do get a correction here, which eventually will come, you know, I'm thinking that that one-bedroom, the good one-bedrooms priced under $6 or $650, they're pretty much insulated against any heavy downturn, I think. Sure, they'll go down, but if the general market sell-off is 15 or 20%, I can see these one-bedroom condos maybe going down 5%. There's just so many, 5 or 6 buyers for every seller, no inventory, and people are holding tight, and I don't blame them. Once they get into a unit, they keep it, which is what I've always advocated. One final thing I'll tell you guys about where I do see some cracks starting to form, and that is in the Richmond luxury detached market. I've been following this for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see how this moves forward. That is an area that is showing signs of trouble. And we're talking West Richmond, so Steveston North, Boyd Park, Seafair, Riverdale, Terra Nova, all along the west side of Richmond, which is where most of the good, expensive luxury homes are built. Now, we had a huge amount of new homes that were built in these areas over the last 10 years. They're all kind of the same. They're 35 to 4,200 square feet, 7,000 to 8,000 square foot lot. They're all look the same. They're in L, so they got a 3-car garage to the side. The house is pushed up to the front, no yard in the front or back. It's all house. 5, 6 bathrooms. Every bedroom has an ensuite. Now, these were built and bought by the Chinese buyers over the last decade. People were buying the old teardowns in areas like Seafair and building these new luxury homes. Now, the buyers for these homes now has dried up, at least for now. I'm not sure. Eventually, they'll probably come back, but for now, they're not. So this is an area where I am seeing inventory starting to build. I'm not seeing any panic yet. Houses are coming on the market. They're trying for the price that they would have liked to have gotten 2 years ago, but of course that's not happening. But hey, I can't blame them for trying. They're staying on the market. Generally what they do is they keep it on the market for 2-3 months, cancel the listing, reduce the price and relist it as a new, and so it shows up as a new listing. But of course, as a realtor, I can go in and look at the history. Shows 20 days on market, but when you go in there, it's been relisted 3 and 4 times. It's actually been on the market for over a year. And there are an awful lot of houses in West Richmond that are like that. As I say, no panic yet. They're systematically kind of dropping their prices, but most of them have still got some good profit built into it, depending on when they bought it and how many years ago. But I'm also seeing some that they bought a tear-down house 2 years ago, built a new house on it, took them 8 months to build the new house, threw it on the market a year ago, trying to make a nice buck, and they've been systematically reducing it. It's been on the market now for a year, and there's no buyers in sight. So that is an area that is starting to show some cracks, and we'll see where that goes in the future. I tell you, I don't currently hold any detached listings in West Richmond. If someone were to call me, and I do get a few every year, my advice to them, if I sat down with a seller, I would say I would try and get ahead of this market a little bit. Inventory is building every week. Prices are slowly coming down. This is a market where you want to get ahead of it. The ones that are selling, the few that are selling, are getting aggressive on price and moving them. And that's what I would advocate to my client if I was listing a West Richmond luxury home. I would get ahead of it instead of staying behind it. And it'll be interesting to follow this market where it goes. The buyers have dried up for these homes right now, and we're talking $2.8 million up to $3.8 million for these homes. I mean, you were buying tear-down lot homes 7-8 years ago for $700,000, another $500,000-$600,000 to build. So they're into these for 1.5. Many of these homes 2 years ago were selling well into the 3s. So there was a lot of money being made here over the years. But like any market, especially when the foreign buyers tax came in, that market now has cooled. The buyers have dried up. Sellers keep adding up every month. The days on market keeps going up. It's early signs that the market is definitely heading for could be a fairly sizable correction there. We'll have to see. No panic yet, but all it takes is a couple of sellers to slash a price by 200 or 300 grand, sell it, and then that sets the new price bar down there. It will be interesting to see how that works out. As always, I'm Owen Bigland. I will do another update on where the market is at later this early summer. But again, in a nutshell, 1-bedroom condos, especially in Vancouver, still a very strong seller's market. 5 or 6 buyers for every seller. As you go up the food chain, market gets a little bit more in favor of the buyer. And once you get into the luxury stuff, it is definitely favoring buyers when you're up over $2 million on condos, for sure. I'm Owen Bigland. See you next week.